This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
It's Thursday, and that means high school football is right around the corner. This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. Let's hear about what's going on in and around Middle Tennessee from each of the writers in the Main Street Preps Network. We've got folks from Lebanon to Houston County, from Portland to Pulaski, keeping you covered each and every week. Find out what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow across the mid-state in high school football. Now, without further ado, let's start in Murray County with Maurice Patton, who has this week's update from there.
Hey, I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Murray. We've got fall break this week, and so as a result, we've got 2 games in week 8. But one of them's a pretty good one, as Nashville Christian travels to Columbia Academy in a game that will likely, well, I won't say decide, but it will go a long way toward deciding the Division IIA Middle Region Championship. Both these teams are undefeated in region play. They're each 2-0. Nashville Christian is 5-1 overall. Columbia Academy is 5-2. And so, again, a couple of quality teams. Played a great game last year up off Sawyer Brown Road, and this one promises to be a good one as well. Obviously, the Eagles come into Columbia with Georgia commit Jared Curtis at quarterback. The junior has thrown for a little over 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, 3 picks. He also leads the team in rushing with a little over 300 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he is the offensive straw for Nashville Christian, as you might imagine. Again, he is a Georgia commit, one of the top 2026 quarterbacks in the country. So big draw there, big enough that WUXP, my TV 30, will be picking up this game as part of their Friday Night Rivals series on Friday night. So, if you can't get down to Columbia, but you want to see Jared Curtis or the Bulldogs in action, you can check it out again on my TV 30, 7 o'clock kick. And while Columbia Academy does not have a Southeastern Conference commitment on their team, again, the Bulldogs are 5-2, and they do have a 3-time 1,000-yard rusher in their backfield, senior Monte Baldwin. 4-time 1,000-yard rusher, because he has already hit that milestone this season with 1,137 rushing yards and a bunch of touchdowns, 11. So, again, Columbia Academy has a talented offensive weapon as well. Not sure that this will necessarily be a high-scoring game, but they both got some guys that they can lean on that side of the ball. So, again, Nashville Christian and Columbia Academy will play Friday night, 7 o'clock. In Region 5, 5A action, Shelbyville was scheduled to play at Spring Hill Friday night. That game will be played at Battle Creek as preparation for the installation of artificial turf at Spring Hill has began. And so the Raiders are losing this home game, and they will lose their final home game of the season against Franklin County. They will play both those games at Battle Creek instead. But again, Shelbyville, Spring Hill at Battle Creek on Friday night. The Golden Eagles coming in 5-1 overall, 2-0 in Region 5, 5A action. Spring Hill is 1-6. They are 0-3 in the league. Cordell Isaac has played pretty well at quarterback for Spring Hill, but this is a really young team up front, and just keeping him upright long enough to make enough plays and sustain enough offense for Spring Hill to really be competitive for 48 minutes has been kind of tough. He does have some weapons on the outside, particularly Jackson Westbeld, Patrick Bunch, and again, in spurts, Spring Hill has shown some ability to move the ball, but not anything that they've been able to sustain, and that's what they will have to do against, again, a really good Shelbyville team. 5-1. They've not lost since week 2, when they lost to Marshall County, undefeated Marshall County, 47-35. So big Region 5-5A matchup. If Spring Hill has any postseason hopes, then they will need to upset a really good Shelbyville team right here on the artificial turf at Battle Creek. Those are our 2 games here in Murray County for this weekend. I'm Maurice Patton, sports editor at Main Street Murray. We'll see y'all next week.
Let's go over now to Rutherford County, where Monte Hale has you set with his Murfreesboro area report.
Hello, I'm Monte Hale, sports editor of the Murfreesboro Post. Well, we've hit fall break. That means not much football. We do have one game, Ezell Harding at PCA, big region game for PCA. Of course, they're coming off a thrilling 52-51 loss, which was an incredible game. Great effort by PCA. I know Coach LeBron Ferguson's not in moral victories, but his team showed a lot going against what has historically been the best team in that region. And they catch an Ezell team that's solid. Go a long way for PCA chances of making the playoffs, which I think they will if they win the game this week. So they are on fall break. Matter of fact, they have 2 weeks of fall break because they start school early. But they are playing football, so that can be a challenge in itself. Your buddies and everybody are doing their thing, and you got to go practice football. But that's part of being a part of a team. All right, again, that's the only game we got, but I thought we would look at the standings where we're at now, because the games certainly get more magnified as we move on. In Region 3-6A, it's Oakland, 7-0 overall, 3-0 in the region. Riverdale, 6-1, 2-0 in the region. Blackman, 4-3, 1-1 in the region. Coffee County, 3-4, 1-2 in the region. Rockville, 2-5, 1-2 in the region. And Siegel is 1-6 and 0-3 in the region. Coming out of fall break, Riverdale and Blackman. They call it the backyard brawl. They're hoping that won't be the case. We've had enough of that this year. There were some suspensions doled out with the Oakland and Blackman game. And, hopefully they have a good, clean football game, competitive football game that week. They kind of had some scuffling last year. Okay, in Region 5-6A, it's the Creek Stewarts, 6-1, 2-0. Smyrna, 4-3, 2-0. Antioch, 4-3, 2-1. McGavock, 2-5, 1-3. Cane Ridge, 1-6 and 1-2. And Laverne, 0-7 and 0-3. It's been a tough year for them. Hate that for Coach Woodward and his bunch. But Stewart's Creek and Smyrna will play coming out of fall break, so keep an eye on that one. Okay, in Region 5-1A, this is Eagleville's region. Richland, 6-1, 4-0. Moore County, 4-2, 2-1. Wayne County is 3-4 and 2-2. Eagleville is 4-3 and 2-2. They did lose to Wayne County, so that's a tiebreaker situation. We'll keep an eye on. Huntland, 3-3, 1-2. Cornersville, 2-5, 1-2, and Collinwood, 2-4 and 0-3. We have one other region that we follow. This is the Division 2A East. Friendship Christian, again with the 52-51 win over PCA. They're now 5-2, 2-0 overall. PCA 4-3, 1-1. Kings Academy 2-5, 1-1. MTCS 2-5, 0-1, and Ezell Harding 2-5, 0-1. So that's where we're at right now. We come back. We've got weeks 8, 9, and 10. And then we'll jump into the TSSAA state playoffs, which it looks like we're going to have quite a few teams. I think we had 7 or 8 last year. So I look forward to seeing what the final 3 weeks of the season will look like. Again, I'm Monte Hale, sports editor at the Murfreesboro Post.
Thanks, Monty, as always. We'll take our first break right now. When we come back, more previews from around the mid-state here on the Main Street Media High School Football Preview Show presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Stay tuned.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back into the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show right here on Main Street Media Television each and every week on Thursdays. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got more from around the mid-state to get you prepared for what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow in high school football around Middle Tennessee. Let's go now to Sumner County, where Blaine Kellar is standing by.
Sumner County sports editor Blaine Kellar reporting from fall break as all but one of the area's teams takes a week off. Beach hits the road to Paris for still a pretty important Region 7-5A matchup, though not as high stakes as it was a year ago. Let's go ahead and break that down as part of our preview show here with Main Street Preps. The 5-1 Buccaneers take on the 4-3 Henry County Patriots. We're coming off a stunning 21-14 loss to Portland, being the Panthers' first ever win against Henry County and really shaking up the region's standings. Henry County, of course, the region champion from last year, Beach the second seed overall, but with this loss, it opens up the door for Beach to really solidify itself as the region champion in this game, and then creates playoff opportunities, playoff home game opportunities even for Portland, for Hendersonville, and now puts Springfield on the bubble in the region standing. So a lot kind of shook up in that game, and there's one of two ways that Beach fans or Henry County fans could approach it. Either the Patriots are not as good as they've been in recent years. They were outgained by Portland and allowed a last-minute touchdown, allowed the Panthers to hang in there throughout the game, despite, of course, winning every previous meeting and doing so handily. Or Henry County's setting itself up for a big bounce-back win as it's done multiple times this season. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Henry County hasn't lost consecutive games or consecutive home games in the last 2 years, so still a big task at hand for Anthony Crabtree, for the Buccaneers. But if you look at their body of work going into that bye week that they had last week, as opposed to the rest of Sumner County, there's a lot to look forward to, a lot to be excited about. The Buccaneers rushed for a season-high 375 yards against the Commandos, their rival. Caden Powell, their quarterback, hasn't turned the ball over yet, has not thrown an interception. He hasn't thrown a lot, but he's been efficient, the Kentucky baseball commitment has, in his time of work. Tyler Campbell has been a great 1B to Kawan Harris's 1A. So power forward prospect athlete on one side and a really impactful Hillsborough transfer on the other. Jack Fuchs, son of Titans assistant Scott Fuchs, really anchoring that offensive line alongside a veteran group for the Buccaneers. They're really helping move the chains. And the defense hasn't allowed more than 17 points all season. They shut out Riverdale allowed 12 points to Collierville, 13 to Portland, 7 to Independence, and last week 6 against Hendersonville. So I've predicted Beach to win this one and put itself in the driver's seat for a Region 7 5A championship. But it's always on the table that Henry County has a bounce back and makes these standings, this leaderboard, a lot more interesting. Be a ton of fun to catch that one on Friday. We'll have coverage for it. It's part of the Hendersonville Standard and Main Street Preps. Be sure to check it out there Friday night, Saturday morning. We'll kick it back to you guys.
Thanks, Blaine. Always a pleasure to hear from you. We'll go over now to Robertson County, where David Wilson has you covered with a report.
Hey everybody, this is David Wilson, sports reporter for the Robertson County Connection, here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 8 matchups across the Robertson County area this week. It's fall break for the Robertson County schools, but for 3 programs across Robertson County area, football still will be played on Friday night. We kick things off out in Trousdale County in Hartsville, Tennessee, as East Robertson looks to bounce back from their last week's loss to Westmoreland by a final score of 7-6 as they travel to face the Yellow Jackets of Trousdale County. East Robertson is 6-1 on the year, sits firmly in second place in the Region 3 2A standings. They'll look to lock up that positioning and playoff seeding this week as they travel to face Trousdale, who is 1-5 on the year. Their lone win came against Republic, who forfeited that matchup to the Yellow Jackets and has discontinued their football program due to lack of player participation. This is a similar spot for East Robertson that they sat in last year after their loss to Smith County on the Friday Night Rivals game of the week in 2023. So Chase Brooks and the Indians are familiar to this position and are looking to get some revenge once again this year as they look to get back on the track to get back to their Class 2A Blue Cross Bowl. Moving on, Joe Burns, who is 2-5 on the year, travels to Cheatham County this week to play Harpeth, who is 3-4. The Indians are honoring their longtime head coach Doug Loop as with a retirement ceremony at halftime of this matchup, as he is retiring from football coaching and teaching at the end of the year. This is an opportunity for the Red Devils to get some revenge in a similar situation that happened last year. Last year in this matchup, Joe Burns honored longtime coach Tom Atkins at halftime, but that was spoiled by the Indians' 28-0 win over the Joe Burns Red Devils last year, in which they ran for 4 touchdowns and forced 4 turnovers. So an opportunity to get some revenge this week for Joe Burns out in Cheatham County. And then finally, Innovation Academy, who is 0-7 on the year, still looking for their first win in program history. They will travel down I-65 to Alabama, to Rainbow City, as they face Westbrook Christian Alabama, who's 4-2 on the year. This caps a 3-game road trip for the Sentinels that saw them go face Class A defending state champion South Pittsburgh, private school powered Brentwood Academy and 5-star quarterback George McIntyre, and now a good program down in Alabama. So it's an abbreviated slate this week, just 3 games on the docket in Robertson County this week, but it should be some great matchups as we enter the second week of October. Looking forward to talking to you guys on the roundup next week.
Thanks, David. Greatly appreciate all of your work this season so far. We're going to take our final break of the day. Got a couple more previews to get to, so stick around here on the Main Street Media High School Football Preview Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
He shoots, and he scores!
Welcome back into the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show here on Main Street Media Television. Don't forget, you can always download your Main Street Media Television app on your smart TV or on your iPhone, Android, Fire Stick, Apple devices, all of that, Main Street Media TV. If you don't have access to any of those, you can always go to mainstreetmediatv.com, visit our YouTube channel, Facebook pages, or, of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter. Make sure to check out all of our great shows that air each and every day. They are on demand, online, as well as live each and every week. So without further ado, got a couple more previews to get to. Let's go to Calvin White, who's up in Montgomery and Houston counties.
Hello everyone, this is Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville, here to give you a quick preview of all the Week 8 high school football action in Montgomery County. There's 3 games on tap for Thursday. Kirkwood is at Clarksville. Clarksville puts its undefeated record on the line against the Cobras in a game that could decide the Region 7 6A title race. Rossview is at McGavock. McGavock 2-5. Rossview travels to face McGavock. Northwest hosts Kenwood. Kenwood coming off their first win of the season against Northeast. Northwest still looking for their first win since their Week 1 win over Fort Campbell. On Friday, Northeast is at West Creek. Northeast still looking for their first win of the season. West Creek is coming off a big loss to Stewart's Creek in Week 7. Marshall County travels to Montgomery Central. Marshall County has dominated both sides of the ball all season. Montgomery Central still looking for their second win of the season after winning their first game in over 2 years in an 8-0 win over Whites Creek in Week 6. Clarksville Academy travels to Donaldson Christian. Donaldson Christian, another team just like Marshall County that's dominated both sides of the ball all season. Clarksville Academy will have their hands full with Donaldson Christian. That's it for all the preview action in Week 8 in high school football in Montgomery County. I'm Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Calvin. Greatly appreciate what you have done this season. And finally, Cheatham and Dickson counties, where Casey Patrick is standing by.
Hi, my name is Casey Patrick. I'm sports reporter for the Dickson Post and the Cheatham County Exchange. We're going to give you a quick look into the week of football action coming up. Not a whole lot of games. Both Dickson County and Creekwood are they're off for fall break. They return next week though. But for this week though, we've only really got 2 games to talk about. Joe Burns is traveling to Harpeth. It's going to be Coach Doug Loop's last home game before he retires at the end of the season. Harpeth is 3-4. Joe Burns 2-5. Joe Burns has got a pretty good running back in Amari Cotton. If Harpeth can stop him, I think the Indians got a good chance to pick up a win on Friday. The other game in the county is Cheatham County Central against Sycamore. It's the game I'm going to be at Friday. I think, Cheatham County Central's 0-7, Sycamore's 2-5, and they've really been struggling here lately. But this is a huge region game for both of these teams. The playoffs are still possible for both teams, and a win here would be huge. So, again, that's the game I'm going to be at Friday. Cheatham County Central at Sycamore, big region game, and then Joe Burns at Harpeth. Dixon and Creekwood are off, but we'll get back to them next week. But y'all have a good evening.
Casey, thanks so much. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on this edition of the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show. Again, don't forget tonight is the Main Street Preps High School Football Game of the Week. You can see it on Main Street Media Television. So please make sure to tune in, and you just may hear a familiar voice, or maybe not. We'll see. So join us then. Until next time, I'm Chris Yao for Main Street Media. Have a great day.
This is the Main Street Preps High School Football Preview Show, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
He shoots, and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.